right, we're here in Washington at my dad's shop. It's my dad. Seen him in videos before? Maybe? Nah, maybe. Tries to stay off the camera, but here we are up in Washington at his shop, and tell us about this car. Just a little 1929 Model A.
Sports coupe.
Sports coupe. This was my grandpa's car on my mom's side. His first car that he bought for
$50.
$50. We'll talk to him today over at dinner. We're up here for Thanksgiving, so talk to him today. $50 car. Back in when did he buy it?
I don't actually remember what year it was, but
He'll probably remember.
He bought it used, drove it for several years before he joined the Navy and parked it.
But it's been in the family forever, its entire life basically, and it was always parked out behind the barn. You know, as long as I can remember, this car was parked outside or behind the barn and just kind of in a rusty patina state, slowly fading. And what, 3 years ago you got this car?
2 years ago.
And started restoring it / it's kind of a resto mod for sure. So Vortec V6 motor out of an S10. So the front end is out of what?
It's a reproduction straight axle out of a early 30s Ford.
Okay, so you still have the transverse leaf in the front,
Right?
but you get some shocks.
Aftermarket 11-inch disc brakes.
That'll help stop the thing a little better than were they leather drum brakes or something back in the day? They were terrible.
Yeah, they were mechanical brakes.
So what do you have for the transmission? The same that came out of the S10?
Yeah, the transmission, driveline, which was shortened, and then the rear end, all out of the S10 pickup. Didn't have to modify the rear end or anything. Just got the right width with some wheel spacing. Did add a 4-link rear end or 4-link suspension in the back.
So let's get a little bit better view of the rear suspension, the differential. Tell us about the differential a little bit. What do we have going on in the back of the car?
It's basically an 8-inch rear end, pretty stout rear end. Plenty stout for the motor transmission setup.
Coilovers in the back for the 4-link. And then battery cage and a fuel cell.
Correct.
Back here. No rumble seat.
No, I do have a seat for it. I modified a bench seat out of a minivan, and had it upholstered kind of, to match the look of the original seat.
Battery disconnect.
Yep. Got a 32 Ford dash panel in it, so I can put some modern gauges in it. Dual exhaust, Patriot headers, Edelbrock intake, and carburetor.
Yeah, dash panel's gonna be nice. Are you gonna put digital gauges in it or analog?
They're analog gauges, but they're kind of a retro looking gauge.
And then gonna do a new wood kit.
New wood kit, and have my upholsterer, make the vinyl top basically.
What about fenders and stuff? Most of these people are, most of the resto mod community is really running no fenders all around. Kind of no, the engine is exposed and everything. You're not running the, what do they call the covers that go on the side of the engine?
Part of the hood.
Yeah. But what are we gonna run on this? You're gonna put the full fenders on the front and rear?
It'll have fenders and running boards. In the front, the top of the hood, but no sides. No bumpers.
Okay.
Stock headlights. I've got some teardrop tail lights for the back, which are kind of an era specific custom that a lot of people did on these when they hot rodded them.
What's up with these door hinges?
I don't know. I think somebody made those on the CNC machine.
You couldn't just go buy them?
You can buy them, but the way to align the door is to put shims behind them. And I didn't like the look of that, so I machined these so they're the exact spacing needed.
Off the side of the car, basically.
Right, so you don't have to use shims to adjust them.
So body. So then your body line here will match just like you need it to, as well as back here.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. How many hours do you have in it now? About 30, 40?
30 or 40, 100.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I've got hundreds of hours in it so far.
There's the fuel cell. And what does that motor put out for power? Any ideas?
This particular motor, stock with the throttle body fuel injection and all this smog control and everything, was rated at 190 horsepower. So I think with the manifold, carburetor, and headers, I'd be surprised if it didn't make at least 200 horsepower. I'll be happy if it does. But
200 horsepower. And the stock Model A engine, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was the same. I think it's the same motor that's in the Ford 8N, Ford 9N tractors.
Yeah,
is that right?
They put them in a lot of the early Ford tractors.
So we have that tractor out back, right?
It's over at the house
With that same motor.
The same basic motor.
About 35 horsepower. No, actually, I think they're rated at 27.
28 or something. I think.
Honestly. So,
Yeah.
200 doesn't sound like a lot in today's modern supercar world, but 200 horsepower on a car that weighs 2,000 pounds?
And maybe 2,500.
If that, yeah, it's going to feel really fast. It should be a lot of fun to drive. It'll actually probably feel pretty scary to drive with.
Yeah, with the suspension and the steering as it is,
and the top like that. It's going to be a scary ride for sure, but it'll be awesome. What did you do for mufflers?
Just dual exhaust with kind of a standard muffler. It's not going to be loud, but you'll be able to hear it.
Pretty dang cool. We'll maybe get Grandpa to tell a couple stories about the car today at dinner and give you a little bit of the history on it. So each of these hinges, I mean, you can see how much longer that one is than the other side. The length, the offset from the car is all custom, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just go buy that. So pretty sweet. Because normally you're just shimming between here and the post.
Right. Yeah, with 3 hinges on a door, especially on an old car like this where the tolerances from the factory were not very good. Using stock hinges, and they're not cheap. I mean, they're pretty expensive to buy the cast hinges. You would have to make each shim would have to be a specific thickness, and it's just a lot of trial and error. And then you've got a hinge with shims behind it that are easily seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to avoid that, and since I had the CNC machine and the technology, I made them individually so that they're exactly right.
No gas tank there anymore.
No, that's been eliminated. I cut out most of it underneath, so I have room for the heater and gauges and everything behind the dash.
Do you have the cap for that? Are you going to
Yeah,
utilize that? You're not going to shave that. Just leave it.
No, I think I'll leave it.
Did all the brake lines here. These are all aftermarket, of course. And then, what is the steering situation? I remember there was quite a bit of work to get the steering column and all that to work with your box that you had.
Yeah, it's just a real tight fit in there. So that's a remanufactured Vegas steering box, which is real popular for for this vintage street rods. So it's manual steering.
Man, there's no room in there to.
So between the steering box, the motor mount, the headers, and the steering linkage, yeah, there's just very little room in there to work. So the steering went in last, and you know, I was able to get it all to fit and work, and it's right, but it wasn't easy.
Yep. 4L60E.
Right. And I put a low car shifter on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a electronic standalone transmission control module from US Shift on the way to control the electronic transmission. So I don't have to run an ECU, which was on the original car.
So it's a standalone TCU. So you can, I mean, you're just running this fully analog, no ECU at all, no EFI. It's got an electric choke, it looks like.
Electric choke, HEI distributor that's not in it at the moment.
So basically all of your wiring is just, I mean, you're going to have standard wiring harness for lights and signals and such, but that's it, right?
Right.
Main wiring to a starter, but no ECU for the motor. It's nice and analog. That'll be easy to tune.
Right. And then the transmission control module you program with your cell phone.
And you're programming your shift points based off of just RPMs with an ignition interrupt for shifting, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. No turbo to worry about having to do dealing with your boost pressures and all that for shift points, so that makes it nice and easy. E-brake looks good.
I do have a...
Oh, okay. Radiator.
So this is a reproduction kind of, it's aluminum. Fits in there somewhat. I'll have a grill, a grill shield over the front.
Looks pretty overkill for that motor. Should run nice and cool.
Yeah, no, it should. But clearance is clearance.
Not having to run a fan is pretty huge. It just saves a lot of headache from trying to clear your cross member and all that crap. And it's way cleaner. And then, did you move the firewall back, or is that the stock
I did
location?
Build a recessed firewall for it. You can see it's recessed about an inch and a quarter, which was all I needed to get the motor where I wanted it.
Just clears the transmission down there.
Yep.
And then plenty of room for your filter.
I am going to have to use a flexible transmission dipstick tube and dipstick to get to get that in there, because it's...
Wait, there's a dipstick on this?
Well, there will be.
We're so used to
Yeah.
we're so used to these modern cars, Sprinters and stuff with no dipstick. You just trust the dash to tell you if you have oil in it or not. So
Really?
yeah, nothing has dipsticks these days.
Wow. Well, this one will.
Could you put a hole? You could put a hole in the floor, maybe. Just run a dipstick in there.
Yeah, I could. But...
So this is all new floor pans. You built all the floor pans for it.
Right.
The floor was pretty much gone, wasn't it?
Yeah, the floor was mostly rusted out. It had the usual rust on the lower, the lower portion of the body panels, which there's patch panels available for all of those. So I've replaced all the rusted metal there with fresh metal patch panels, inner fenders in the back.
Yeah, so you can see that's fresh. That's an aftermarket panel. These are all new, right?
Correct.
But this piece is all stock.
Right.
Door posts are all stock. That's original.
Yeah, it was actually pretty solid car under all the surface rust, other than the lower panels where water gets trapped like they did in those days. inside, and then it starts rusting from the bottom up.
Right.
The trunk's pretty solid. The trunk lid's solid. It's in storage right now, but
This is all new, all aftermarket pan back here.
Yeah, I had to build that platform to clear the leaf springs and everything.
And then of course that is all hand built.
Right. Yeah, because I'm running a fuel cell in the trunk, I have to have a solid divider between the passenger compartment and the trunk, which is what I'm working on now.
This is to meet safety regulations.
Just so you don't have any chance of getting fumes in the passenger compartment.
I don't think you're gonna smell any fumes with that top situation you got going on there.
Yeah, it's
I
there's
think,
gonna be plenty of ventilation.
I think you're gonna be having plenty of fresh air. So yeah, a lot of progress from the last time I was up here about a year ago. Pretty cool to see this car coming along. We'll go talk to Grandpa, the original owner, here at lunch.
Yep.
Get some stories. And he was a little hesitant on some of these modifications. He's still not convinced that we need to chop it, but we need to chop the car.
Yeah, he would obviously like to have seen it restored to original, but I told him from the very beginning, if I restore the car, it's going to be a resto rod so that it's comfortable to ride and drive. We'll run on the highway and not get ran over, but most of the exterior is going to be stock, so he was good with that.
Is this going to be a 100-mile-an-hour car, 120?
You know, it would be capable of that, but again, with the
I'm not doing it.
yeah,
I'm
with
out.
the suspension, with the front suspension.
I'm gonna let you test
steering,
that first, and then I'll see how
yeah, probably
that first
not.
run goes.
Probably not push it. Yeah, but 60, 70 miles an hour should be a good, comfortable ride.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for showing us the car.
You bet.
All right, so we're over here at my grandparents' house. This is my grandpa Delmer. Obviously, there's my dad, and we're just gonna show you some photos of the car, the original photos, and then the recovery when we pulled it out of the field, and so you get a little before look, and then of course you get to see the finished product here in a year or so when it's all wrapped up. All right, so what do we have here? What are we looking at?
Car.
Yeah, the car. Let's see, when was that photo taken? 2020?
2020.
And that was the last time you had it driving going down the road, I think.
Yeah, this is when we went over to Dad's place to get the car to bring it home, and so I think that was the first time Sue drove it.
So this is pulling it out of the field. Yeah,
I
that
think
was.
I drove it out.
Oh, you drove it out?
Yeah, we drove it up on the trailer.
Okay. So the thing was, yeah, it was running and driving because I remember I drove in it, and I've got a photo somewhere. You and I both drove in it down the driveway when we brought it back to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody drove it around and then drove it into the shop and then started taking it apart. So that's, yeah, that was the last day. Got the great grandkids in there driving it around. So when did you first get the car?
When I was 15.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
A couple years ago.
Yeah,
How much did you pay for it?
$75.
Okay, so we misquoted earlier in the video. We said $50.
My mistake. I think that's what my dad paid for his Model A
Jeez,
when he was 15.
you guys are spending a lot of money on cars.
Right.
Yeah, so $50. And you were how old?
15.
Okay.
Yep.
I got some other photos of the car way back in the day when you first. So 15 years old, you had a car. I don't know why I'm surprised because you were driving school bus when you were a senior in high school. You were driving the bus.
I was 18.
Yeah. So you drove the school bus at 18, finished up school, and then went in the Navy.
Yep.
So things happened a little younger back then. Yeah, here's the last time we drove that car together, and we recreated that photo. This is actually we did a recreation of a photo that you and I took back in 96, 91, when we took the photo outside of your shop. We recreated that with this shot. and put them up side by side. And the difference was the car looked pretty much identical, a little more faded, but you were a lot shorter and I was a lot taller than the original photo. So, yeah, any idea how many miles you put on this thing?
Not very many.
Okay.
A few hundred, few thousand.
A few thousand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as I recall, you said you used it to herd dairy cows to the barn for milking.
Yeah, I'd drive it down through the pasture, probably around Grand Lake. Pretty near a mile anyway. And then I'd take the dairy cows back up to the barn and milk them.
Okay.
And when I'm down there looking for them, I might have to run over a few saplings.
You got to do what you got to do to get the cows in.
But every once in a while I'd hit one that was a little bigger and they'd start up and over, and then they'd raise the front end up and I'd have to pull the throttle down and get out and push it off.
Okay.
And then run and get in.
What about going up hills with less than a full tank of fuel? Did you ever have to back up a hill, turn around and back up a hill because it'd run out of fuel?
Well, I don't remember.
I know that was an issue with those
Yeah.
old Model A's because the fuel tank was up above
Yep.
the engine,
Yep.
and so if you were low on fuel going up a steep enough hill, it would starve it from getting fuel, and you'd have to turn around and back up the hill.
Well, I always tried to keep the fullest gas.
Okay. Yeah, I did hear that as a kid.
Yeah.
just as cheap to keep the top half full as the
That's
bottom
right.
half.
I'm glad you learned that.
That's right. So really, the car hasn't changed much since you first bought it, other than, a little bit rusty. Did you go through and rebuild anything while you had it?
Painted
Yeah.
it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I painted it.
With what? A brush?
No,
Oh.
I don't know, probably. I can't remember. But I painted my name on one side and my buddy's name on the other side.
Okay.
I forget what color the doors were, red and blue or something.
I think for most of my life, I remember the car sitting out back behind the chicken shed or out in the field. And then once every few years, we'd start it up, usually on the 4th of July, drive it up and down the road a couple times, honk the horn. It has that Auga horn.
Well, when we moved back over to our old place, that was in '65. Well, after '65, I drove it over there.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I parked it over in the field under a tree and it stayed there for 20 years.
Okay.
And then I got it in the garage and had to pull the head off it, it froze up. And get it all loosened up again and get it running. But I got it running.
But basically, when you started on it, it was pretty much all original.
Oh yeah.
All original engine, drivetrain, nothing
Still
been
is.
replaced,
Well, still is.
original wood.
Yep.
All the body panels were original. So really a very original car. Nothing's been changed or swapped out on it until now.
Yeah. No, there's nothing.
Now there's not
Nothing to say.
there's a little original, not much. What do you think about the progress so far?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yep. Would you get in it when it's all put together and go 100 miles an hour and feel fine about it?
No,
Okay. Yeah, me either. So. Well,
I don't think it should go 100 miles an hour in any car. Uh-uh.
Okay.
I like my life too much.
What are you most excited to see it when it's all done? Just are you excited to drive it again, or excited to just see it back all together?
I'm just glad somebody's willing enough to do it,
Mm-hmm.
do all the work and get it going. There's
Yeah.
a lot of work that went into it.
A couple of hours, I think.
Yeah, a couple.
And you go over and help with it quite a bit.
Nah, a little bit.
Yep,
He does let me come over once in a while.
that's good. Favorite memory of the car ever? All time?
Oh yeah, we used to go pick up beer bottles along the road, beer bottles, pop bottles.
Okay.
I'd drive the car, and my wife would drive the car, and my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
which is my wife now,
Sure.
would drive the car, and I'd be out riding on the running board or the fender, and go over in the ditch, pick up beer bottles and pop bottles, Got a penny a piece for the beer bottles and 3 cents for the pop bottles. Get
And-
enough to go to the movies.
Hell of a deal.
Ain't right.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, about 16, 17.
Dang.
Yep. Didn't have much money, but
How much was a movie ticket?
not very much. I have no idea now.
All drive-in movie, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Take the
right.
car to the drive-in.
Sure, you betcha.
Yep. And you had the rumble seat in the back?
Nope.
No rumble seat ever?
Nope.
Okay. It was just a trunk.
Just a trunk.
Okay. Did it have a back seat at all?
Nope.
Okay. Well, it wasn't that great of a movie car then.
Just for her and
Okay. Well, there you go.
I. Well, I didn't need no spectators.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's an exciting project, and it's cool to see it coming along so far. I think less than a year, you'll probably have that thing running and driving.
Yeah, I anticipate driving it this next spring.
Okay.
But as far as finished and painted, yeah, at least another year.
Gotcha.
Just hope I'm around to do it.
Oh, you'll be around.
Hope so.
You'll be around. Well, thanks for showing us everything. It's a pretty incredible story and a lot of history in the car. It's going to be awesome to see it all finished up.